I never knew what love truly meant until the moment you looked at me, and it felt like the world stopped just for us. It wasn't a single moment that I fell in love with you, but rather a series of moments where you slowly became my everything. The first time I realized I loved you, it was as though my heart had been waiting all its life for you to come into it. Love isn't something that happens in an instant, but in the smallest, most unexpected of moments with you. It wasn't the grand gestures or the big declarations, but the quiet, unspoken moments with you that made me fall in love. Every time I think of the first time I fell in love with you, it feels like my heart is rediscovering that feeling all over again. I remember the exact moment I fell in love with you, when I realized I had been in love with you all along, and I just hadn't known it yet. Love isn't a choice, it's a feeling. And from the very first glance, my heart knew it was you. You made me realize that love is not just about finding the right person, it's about finding someone who makes every moment feel extraordinary. I don't remember when I first fell in love with you, but I do know that every moment with you feels like it was meant to be. Falling in love with you was the most natural thing in the world, like I was meant to be exactly where I am, beside you. It's not about a single moment in time, it's about every small, tender moment that led me to this love I feel for you. The first time I fell in love with you, I had no idea that my heart was already yours. Love doesn't announce itself, but the first time I felt it with you, it quietly stole my breath away. It wasn't love at first sight, but the first time I truly saw you, I knew my heart had already chosen you. You captured my heart, not in a dramatic moment, but in the quiet, simple times we spent together. That's when I knew I was falling for you. The first time I fell in love with you, it was a soft, gentle realization that I had been falling for you all along. Love doesn't need words to exist. The first time I fell in love with you, your presence spoke louder than anything else. I fell in love with you in a way that didn't feel like falling at all. It felt like I was finally waking up to what was always there. The first time I knew I was in love with you, it wasn't in a moment of excitement, but in the quiet peace I felt whenever you were near. Falling in love with you was like breathing. It wasn't something I had to think about. It just happened naturally. The first time I realized I was in love with you, I realized I had been quietly loving you for so much longer than I ever knew. I don't remember the exact moment I fell in love with you, but I know it's been happening every day since then. Falling in love with you wasn't something I planned. It was something that found me when I least expected it. Every time I think about when I first fell in love with you, it feels like a beautiful secret only my heart knows. The first time I fell in love with you, it was in the moments when you weren't even trying to be special. You simply were. I never needed a specific moment to fall in love with you. It was a journey of small moments that built up to a love I never expected. In every quiet look and every soft smile, I was falling deeper in love with you without even realizing it. The moment I fell in love with you wasn't loud or dramatic. It was a silent realization that you had captured my heart without me even knowing. Falling in love with you didn't happen in one moment. It happened in every little thing you did that made my heart skip a beat. It wasn't the words we said, but the silences we shared that made me realize I had fallen in love with you. The first time I fell in love with you, it wasn't about perfection. It was about the way your imperfections made me feel like I had found home. I fell in love with you quietly like a whispered secret in the middle of a crowded room. Every moment with you feels like the first time I fell in love with you all over again. Falling in love with you wasn't a rush. It was a slow, steady feeling that grew with each passing day. I think I fell in love with you the first time I saw you, but it was in all the little things that followed that I knew it was real. The first time I realized I loved you, I understood that love isn't always loud or obvious. It can be quiet, gentle, and all-encompassing. The first time I fell in love with you was a moment of clarity, where everything in my life suddenly made sense because you were a part of it. Love doesn't always hit you like a storm. Sometimes it's a slow, steady rainfall that leaves you drenched in its beauty, just like the first time I fell in love with you. I don't need a specific moment to tell me when I fell in love with you. Every moment with you is a reminder of how deep my love for you is.